making art and like, you know, entering an entirely different realm. I'll forever be like an outcast and an outsider. You know, I don't come from an educated place. And I enjoy that. I like that. I like being self-taught and a complete outsider and somebody who's totally naive in that. Comparing things to graffiti, you know, it's like, you know, I was very comfortable in that world for a long time, and, you know, after a while, you don't feel challenged anymore. And it just gets redundant, it gets old, you know, and it's like, it's rad being like in a new realm that's unfamiliar. It's like, I really enjoy being at the bottom and having, I guess, a new place to try to prove myself. I think that, you know, as lame and pathetic as I think a lot of these detectives are, I probably don't bear a grudge against these guys that, you know, tried to bankrupt me and ruin my life. You know, if I saw them down the street at a coffee shop, I'd probably thank them. As much money as it cost me and as inconvenient as it was like the catalyst I needed to like really sit back and reevaluate, make some decisions and make some changes that I'm sure I wouldn't have been motivated to make otherwise. You know, I was laying in bed in jail making the pieces that I've been making for the last few years. I hadn't had time to just sit and think in so long because it was just a mess, you know, it was just chaos and noise all the time. It gave me the opportunity to visualize that. I think that's how really anything gets done. You know, if you want to accomplish anything, you have to be able to visualize it and literally like watch it like a movie in your head, and then it just kind of happens. I held on to my childhood for a really long time. You know, I held on to my adolescence and my rage and my insecurity and all of those things that made me the person that I was a lot longer than what was probably called for, you know, and eventually at a certain point you just want to fucking grow up, don't you? You know, I think that like a lot of the reason why I'm making this stuff and not focusing my energy on making graffiti is that I just found myself looking at my graffiti totally dissatisfied with it. It just felt immature and ridiculous. You know, how many times are you gonna paint your name? You know, how many times are you gonna do this like wild style stuff that's just so rooted in like juvenile, you know, fantasy and like obsession, you know, whatever ideas that people might have of me based on my past, accurate or completely ridiculous, like, you know, it's not the same person that I am anymore. You know, I think that it would be like really like naive and unrealistic for me to say that if I wasn't this person with a story of, you know, graffiti and everything that comes along with it, if I try to pretend for a moment like that wasn't relevant to whatever attention the things that I'm doing have received, you know, I think that obviously wouldn't be realistic. You know, I'm a guy that made graffiti that, you know, makes art. It's undeniable that my experience as a graffiti writer has heavily informed my art making, but my art making is not graffiti, and it sure as fuck isn't street art. Showing under my name, Revok, obviously, doesn't do anything to benefit me in that regard. But you know, again, it's just like I've spent my whole life being Revok. I don't even. Jason's just like, who is that dude?
Look at it, Harper. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What's up? Hey, sweetheart.
You know, an abstract painting or an abstract piece of work that can be perceived and experienced like a multitude of ways based on whatever it triggers within the person experiencing or viewing it. It's opening up something that's within the individual, not something that's being communicated to somebody. It's not like I have this agenda, I have this idea, I have this concept, and I want you to see it on my terms. I like giving somebody the opportunity to become aware of something or feel something. Painting with like a spray can or a roller or whatever, you can make any gesture, you can make any stroke. I just really enjoy like having this super disciplined, kind of stripped down, focused appearance to the work that I make in a studio that's totally dictated by like these this whole new set of tools and materials. One angle, 45 degrees, and like either straight up and down or straight side to side. I want to keep maturing and evolving and changing, and I don't want to be like stuck to any one thing or any one way of doing anything. I feel as good as I've ever felt about making stuff right now, and that'll continue for as long as it makes sense, and then I'll make something else.
Drop it. Drop it.